we're going to call an order. We're going to start the meeting, and we're going to do the roll call.
Elvira Diaz,
Present?
T-Tran,
Here.
Roberto Castillo,
Present.
Jarrell Green,
Present.
Rose Mesa,
Present.
Akia Sanders, Michael Scherzer.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. We have a forum. We're going to go for public comments, and I have Andrea Pedro. She's going to attend about the OAM. So welcome to speak. You have 3 minutes for public comment.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Andrea Belto, Chair of the Sparks Senior Advisory Committee. So I wanted to come today and talk about May being Older Americans Month. And so we've been working hard trying to get events together that seniors would enjoy during the month of May. So I came today to ask, most of you know how to contact me, or Allison does for sure. And, if any of you know of any events, or any of you would like to put on an event, technically the deadline is tomorrow. But, if you can reach out ASAP, I'm sure we can reserve a spot. We're trying to hold events either at the Sparks Senior Center, or we also have use of the meeting room at the Sparks Library. So, and if not, I believe you guys meet every month. And so, I will at least fill out and put your meeting in the OAM brochure so that hopefully maybe some of the public will come down and attend your May meeting. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your public meeting, Andrea. Any other public comments? I see none. So I'm going to go for the next action is approval to the agenda. I need a motion.
T-Tran, move to approve.
I need a second. Oh, yeah. But the computer is slow.
Jarrell Green, I second that motion.
I'm disconnected.
Oh, no.
No, the computer is weird today. Okay. Okay, the motion is approved, and the second is the second there?
She's not getting the option.
Did you press the button?
No, I'm disconnected.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm
Okay.
technical difficulties.
The second is there, so we're going to go for the next agenda item.
Madam Chair, if you can give us a second
Yes.
for Cindy to
Yeah, we need to wait.
get the technology coordinated.
And while we're waiting, we're going to say hello to the people on Facebook. I think we're streaming.
YouTube.
So this is the first time we're streaming, and we welcome everybody in the audience. This is a very important meeting for us. So thank you so much while we're working with computers,
There you go. You're welcome.
Okay, so, yeah.
No, it says I'm still disconnected. I have an angry red banner on mine.
Okay, we'll have to go manual on you. I'll just, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we can share our computer together, to see.
Sorry, guys.
No problem, computer.
Okay, well, I still move to approve the agenda, so.
So we're going to go, yes, approve to the agenda. Okay. We're going to go next. Motion passed unanimously. We're going to go to number 4, approval for the agenda for possible action. Approval of the minutes, sorry, for the possible action. I need a motion.
So moved.
Yeah, you can click the motion. In your... Your computers are slow today.
Yeah.
They're fighting with Facebook. So the motion,
Pending.
I'm waiting for the,
Roberto Castillo, for the record, I second the motion.
And Madam Chair, we are having some significant technical difficulties. If we can go old school and just do voice motions
okay,
and voice votes, and everybody can state their name for the record, please.
that's perfect. So, they said motion approved. And then second, who's second? Roberto Castillo second. Okay, and we need to vote now. Whoever wants to vote. And you want to vote, just raise your hand.
Yeah, if you can say, all in favor, say aye.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone oppose? Say no. Any comments, discussions? Oh, we're there, okay. We have all approved, so the computer is not talking, but it's approved and it's passing unanimously. So we're going to go for very interesting presentation, and we want to really welcome our presentation. The first person is going to be Silver State Fair Housing. And we're going to listen for.
I am so glad to be here on old school night because I come from an old school. Let me see now with my handy dandy skills if I can get this up here for everybody. I think I do that. Nope, that's not it. Maybe? How's that? Wow. Thank you, everyone. My name is Kate Zook. I'm the Executive Director of Silver State Fair Housing Council, and I am here tonight with our Education and Outreach Coordinator, Fernanda Villaseñor Hecky, and we want to tell you very quickly about fair housing. Fair Housing Month is approaching. April of every year is National Fair Housing Month and commemorates when the Fair Housing Act was originally signed into law in April of 1968. We are Silver State Fair Housing Council, a nonprofit agency that advocates for equal housing opportunity for all residents of Nevada. And I am always so happy to be here in Sparks to say that City of Reno and City of Sparks were the first groups that funded us and helped us to get started 33 years ago. I've been here the entire time, and it has been a joy to journey with Sparks to advocate for equal housing opportunity. As a nonprofit, we don't have enforcement capacity. We don't get a badge like HUD or Department of Justice to go out and bust people. But with funding from the cities, from the county, and in Southern Nevada, from HUD, we provide a very comprehensive program of education and outreach to the community about their fair housing rights and responsibilities. We have an equally important program of education for housing providers. If our mission is to ensure equal housing opportunity, the best way to do that is make sure housing discrimination isn't happening. And that's what we're committed to. Stuff happens. And so we also assist people with issues related to housing discrimination, help them file complaints with HUD, track those through the system. We have a great program of housing discrimination testing, secret shoppers, who go out and kind of take the temperature of the community and find out how people are treated in different housing situations. We provide fair housing support to the jurisdictions, to the state, to anybody who has questions, needs answers, and look at barriers to fair housing, whether those are physical barriers that I can't get over, or whether those are regulatory barriers that might affect somebody's right to equal housing opportunity. All of us are protected by fair housing laws, and I think that's very, very important to point out in multiple ways. We all have a race and a color. We are all from somewhere, and we're all protected based on our national origin. There is no requirement under the Fair Housing Act that somebody be documented in order to be protected by fair housing law, and I think that's very important for people to know. Religion or lack of religion is protected by fair housing laws. Sex protections under the Fair Housing Act were intended in 1974 when they were added to address gender inequities. Most of you here aren't old enough to remember, but I remember 1974, and I can tell you it would not have been unusual for a single woman looking to get a home loan to have a male cosigner. Over the years, sex harassment has been included in this protection, and I am very happy to report that as of February of 2021, HUD has clearly stated that sexual orientation and gender identity are protected by fair housing laws, and people can't be discriminated against because of those things. In 1988, familial status, presence of children under the age of 18, was added to the Fair Housing Act, and disability. Disability is the number one complaint that goes to HUD from across the country. Disability is defined as any physical or mental condition that substantially limits one or more major life activities, a history of having such a condition, or being regarded as somebody with a disability. So it's very broad protection. In Nevada, our state laws mirror the Federal Fair Housing Act. We haven't broken any new ground recently in fair housing protections, but we mirror what the federal law says. There is new guidance from HUD on criminal history, and I'm putting that out there to the universe, that although somebody's criminal history is not a fair housing protected characteristic, HUD is now very, very clear that they believe that because of biases built into our justice system, having requirements related to criminal history can have a disparate impact, a greater impact on communities of color and on people with disabilities. Therefore, if somebody has a criminal history and they're going to be denied housing because of that, they should be given the right to provide additional information, extenuating circumstances that might affect the landlord's decision. All different types of properties are covered by fair housing law. There are very small exemptions for what we call mom and pop landlords, but anybody who uses a professional management company or a professional manager is going to be covered. And in the years that I have been with Silver State, we have had cases in every single type of property listed here. There are all different kinds of activities that will affect somebody's housing choice. The bulk of the complaints that we get have to do with rental housing. However, anything involved in the sale of a dwelling, whether it's the agent who is showing properties, the lender, appraisals, any fair housing nerds here hearing about appraisal issues that are coming up, where we're finding that the appraisal of a home may go up or down based on the race or national origin of the homeowner. And that affects all of us. It affects our generational wealth, and it's an important issue that is coming to the fore. Homeowners insurance, advertising. Whether that's an ad that's advertising housing or any comments that are made between a housing provider and a consumer, all are covered by fair housing law, and any type of harassment or intimidation that is based on a fair housing protected characteristic is illegal housing discrimination. Again, all different types of people control housing: owners, property management companies, their agents, real estate agents, homeowner associations. We do a lot of work with HOAs because they sure like their rules, don't they? And they don't like to change them for anybody. So anybody that is getting funding for housing or provides housing is covered. But what does it look like here in our community? We're focusing tonight on cities and jurisdictions, okay? I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but I thought this would be most interesting to everyone. The city of Arlington, Texas was presented with an affordable housing project for families with children, and it would have been funded through the low-income housing tax credit program. And in this case, the city refused to issue the resolutions to support it because they had a policy of only approving housing for seniors. So that leaves out families with children. A complaint was filed by the developer. It went to the Department of Justice. The city paid $395,000 to that developer based on the discriminatory actions, and now will have to change its behaviors going forward. The issues that we see come up in jurisdictions would be targeting certain neighborhoods based on race or ethnicity, and maybe only doing code enforcement or zoning enforcement in those areas, but ignoring it in others. Sometimes we come up with occupancy issues generally related to families with children, and guidance from HUD says that 2 people per bedroom is generally considered reasonable under the Fair Housing Act. Now, there can be extenuating circumstances, but don't go below 2 people per bedroom. In group homes, fair housing protects group homes if the residents are people with disabilities, okay? And we have in Nevada from time to time found jurisdictions where they have overly restrictive spacing issues so that group homes can't be in affordable neighborhoods if they're too close to each other. So that can be a problem. Also, all of you probably know NIMBY, not in my backyard. You're not going to put those people, as soon as we hear those people, we're in trouble, aren't we? So sometimes what we see are, if a group home is going into a neighborhood and there's a hearing of some sort, I'll come, because we know now that under the First Amendment, people have the right to get up and say horrible, terrible, hateful things about a project. But the council, the planning commission, cannot act on discriminatory attitudes and statements. And we're happy to attend anytime and get up and say, we support everyone's right to say the way they feel, but we cannot make decisions based on discriminatory attitudes. We look at accessibility and new multifamily housing. We have some pretty new projects around here. And since March of 1991, all of these multifamily projects have to have accessibility in all of their ground floor units or all units on floors that are served by elevators. And because there's been some non-compliance with that, it's gotten better over the years as building codes have caught up with civil rights. We send out now notices to everybody who pulls a multifamily building permit in the state of Nevada and just let them know, hey, you might want to check these things out because they're important. These guidelines don't make things super accessible, but they make them better for all of us and just that much easier to use and enjoy. As I said, disability is the #1 complaint that goes to HUD from across the country. And I think you can see a theme here in these pictures, right? As I said, people with disabilities are defined as having an impairment, being regarded as having an impairment, or having a record of a disability. All types of disabilities: mental, physical, learning disabilities, cognitive disabilities, HIV is covered, autism, Down syndrome, drug addiction is a disability under the Fair Housing Act. If someone is currently illegally using controlled substances, no. But if they are in recovery, they are covered by this. Alcoholism, hoarding, some things that make a lot of us uncomfortable, right? And the only thing that I have learned over the years about anybody's disability is I know nothing about it. Every disability manifests itself differently in each individual. And so we work with people as individuals and get their information and what we need to help them. There's no requirement that older housing retrofit and become accessible. And so the Fair Housing Act says that people with disabilities can request to modify a property, either the housing unit or the common area, so that they can fully use and enjoy it. This is generally at the expense of the resident. If there's federal funding there, we can get the owner to pay for it, but generally the resident pays. Issues that come up a lot: installing a ramp, putting grab bars, and we always think of grab bars in the bathroom, right? But I have people putting them at the primary entrance door because I'm going up a step and I have a hard time getting up. So we put in grab bars in consultation with the tenant. Changing a driveway configuration. We've had that where a driveway is too sloped for somebody who uses a mobility aid to be able to get out of the vehicle. and not go sliding down the hill. And so changing the driveway so that there's a level landing area, having a wider gate to allow supplies to go in and out, everything as individual as the person who needs it. If somebody is asking for something and their disability is not obvious or their need for something is not obvious, the housing provider can request that this person provide information from a reliable source, doctor, nurse practitioner, counselor, peer support group, my rep at Aging and Disability, whoever, a reliable person to verify that they have a disability as defined under the Fair Housing Act, not the diagnosis, and that what they are requesting is necessary for them. We can help people with all this stuff. Reasonable accommodations are requests for changes to normal rules or policies that may be in place. You know, this is where HOAs get a little uncomfortable, right? I have my CCNRs and don't you dare make me change them. And yet, I'll try if I need to. Reasonable accommodations can be things like a reserved parking space. I can't walk long distances at my multifamily property. I need a place closer. We've had a city that had to designate a parking space on the street as a reserved parking space for a resident because of the parking situation where he lived. Allowing maybe a casita or a tiny home to be built on a property so that a family member could live there perhaps. Relay calls come up a lot. For people who are deaf or hard of hearing and being willing to take those calls. Number one, waiving restrictions for service and emotional support animals. Almost every day of my life, I'm talking to somebody about Thor or Atlas or Dallas or Homer was the one the other day. Again, each as individual as the person who needs them. Even with breed restrictions, weight restrictions, those types of things, an animal should be allowed on a property. A service animal, a dog, providing a service that we can see for somebody with a disability, automatically accepted. But under the Fair Housing Act, emotional support animals are covered too. So we do lots of work, have lots of information. Anybody who has one of these animals can request that no pets policies or zoning restrictions be waived, weight restrictions, breed restrictions, restrictions on the number of animals. We had a city in southern Nevada that refused to allow a couple who are veterans with PTSD to have chickens and ducks on their 1 acre property. Neighbor complained, we're not zoned for that. And the city said, we're not zoned for that. You got to get rid of them. And they provided a note from their doctor saying, these things are therapeutic. They really need them. City wouldn't back down. So I wrote them an incredibly nice letter telling them that they really might want to reconsider this. And they did not respond to me. But when the couple filed a housing discrimination complaint with HUD, they still have their chickens and ducks, and there was a $2,000 settlement. So again, we take these on a case-by-case basis. What we try to get through, to the jurisdictions and to anybody who's working with the public is to start to recognize fair housing issues when they come up. If you hear anything from any constituent that sounds like it might have something to do with fair housing, send them our way. We're happy to talk to them. We are one of the few agencies, I think, left in creation. We have no phone system. The phone rings, we have voicemail, that's it. So if the phone rings and we're there, we pick it up, we talk to people, we return messages within 24 hours on a business day, and are happy to do it and get the information out. We always encourage everyone to be willing to work with people who have limited English proficiency. Most properties are not obligated to provide language services. Those of us who get federal funding are. But don't just dismiss people out of hand because they don't talk like you. Again, the NIMBY, not in my backyard. People will freely get up and say horrible things. They're allowed to do that, but I think we have a real obligation, and we feel an obligation to be there to say, but this is what your obligation is as the city. We help people file housing discrimination complaints. These are not quick fixes, but this is one of those great laws where you have access to justice without being a millionaire. So we can get those complaints into HUD, get them through the system, and in many cases, get some sort of resolution for our citizens, and that's what we care most about. We are here if you need us. We are happy to discuss issues one-on-one, in a group, whatever works, but please, please remember that we're here to be a resource for all of you. I think that's it.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Anyone has questions for her?
T. Tran for the record. So you do hold some workshops and whatnot for the public.
Oh, my goodness, we have workshops.
Yeah.
I didn't bring you a flyer this long, but, right now, we're really promoting, we're doing Zoom sessions. And if you go to their website, which you should have that information there, www.ssfhc.org, on our Facebook page, and these allow people to literally Zoom in for a short presentation and then ask questions and just talk about issues that people have. We will go to any group and talk to them about anything. If you know people who are interested in housing discrimination testing, our testers look like the entire community. And it's a great, great program because housing discrimination is not usually somebody yelling out, I don't want you here because of your race, I don't want you here because you have kids. It's that smile and the handshake, and they show you the door. So testing can help to uncover some of those things as well.
Another question? I noticed, but for the record, my name is Elvira Diaz. I noticed one of the flyers you give us is in Spanish.
Yes.
Do you have any other language, like little flyers besides?
We do not have any other languages. However, we work very closely with the language bank up at UNR. And anytime somebody comes in and they need another language, we're going to be on speed dial with them. And we have one of those really groovy signs where you read the phrase, I speak English. Oh, that's English, hablo español, Spanish, it goes down till I can't read the characters anymore. But somebody can point to that and tell me what language they need. So we are happy to do that.
Thank you very much. And how people, regular people can find you? Like if I never hear about you before.
I know it.
And
I
then
know.
How we can, this is I'm talking for the whole group, hopefully. We want to promote, let the whole world know that you exist. And if somebody is facing some kind of issues, we can connect with you.
We
how do
have
you
a
suggest-
website. We have a website. We have a Facebook page. They can call us. As I said, we answer the phone all the time. We're happy to come out and talk to groups as well, so that, we can have a more intimate conversation about things that might be of concern to them. But unfortunately, what happens is a lot of times we go out and talk and people say, that's nice, but that's not me, until it's me. And then they suddenly say, who was that old lady that was talking about that? So the more we can get things out, we try to have flyers and brochures at the city and then out and about in the community. And if anybody has ideas for where we should put them, let us know. Let us know.
We're trying to create ideas here, so you're welcome to listen to us every month. We have these meetings, but we can connect. We're ready for you.
I would love that. I would love that. And
Any other
thank you
question
all.
For my friends over here, group, okay.
All right.
So I'm going to say thank you because I guess today is very busy. I'm going to say thank you so much. And we're going to be in contact with you, and we're going to move to the next presentation.
Awesome. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. I can see my Latinos. I see the United States Leadership Institute National Conference, and I'm so proud because my daughter went to that conference a long time ago, and she benefits for that, and now she's a lawyer. So thank you so much for coming and tell us your testimonies.
Thank you for having us. For the record, I'm Dr. Jafet Sanchez, Director of the Latino Research Center. Hopefully you recognize me from last time I was here. It's so great to see all of you again. I brought a crew this time, as you can see. With me, I have Dr. Carla Hernandez. She is, as of more recently, the Director of Latinx Hispanic Community Relations for the University of Nevada, Reno. So we are here in collaboration because some of the work of the Latino Research Center will be supported more by her role, and we want to not duplicate, but really augment the work that we've been doing. And under that realm, as you know, we had our students attend the United States Hispanic Leadership Institute, and we have 2 of the students who were all funded by your gracious donation and sponsorship. So I'm just going to pass it to them, and we're going to let them do their work. Thank you all.
Let me just get set up here.
We're on Facebook Live, so you guys know.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, distinguished members. On behalf of the Latino Student Advisory Board at the University of Nevada, Reno, we really want to thank the City of Sparks for sponsoring us to attend the United States Hispanic Leadership Institute National Conference in Chicago. We would also like to thank the Equity and Inclusion Advisory Board for having us here today and giving us the time so that we can present in front of you about our advisory board as well as the growing Latino community in Nevada.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Our student agenda would be student introductions. Next will be Latino Student Advisory Board. The usually trip experience that y'all gratefully granted us that experience, and the growing Latino community in Nevada.
To begin, my name is Angelica Posadas. I am the current Vice President of the Latino Student Advisory Board at UNR. I was born in California, raised in Mexico and rural Nevada. I'm a graduate of Battle Mountain High School, just 3 hours from here. I'm a first-generation college student. I'm a senior. I'm going to be graduating this fall. And I'm a double major in political science and criminal justice, and I hope to go to law school someday to become an immigration attorney.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dennis Garcia. I was raised and born in Panorama City, California, but I lived in San Fernando, Sylmar, and I moved to Vegas about 5 years ago to attend my high school. I graduated at Nevada State High School. It's an early college credit. I earned 35 credits. I came here to study for UNR. I'm a first-gen student as well. I'm currently a sophomore, and I'm a dual major with mathematics and education, so therefore I want to be a math teacher.
So just a little bit about our advisory board on campus. We were founded in 2007, and we work side along university faculty, administration, and community partners to empower and advocate on behalf of the Latino student body at UNR. We seek to enhance the Latino community in Nevada through public outreach, academic excellence, and political movements. Dennis and I will go more into detail on some of the events LSAB has put on recently, but currently we are collaborating with UNRPD to host a self-defense class as well as a roundtable discussion with our students.
Okay, so the first event that we wanted to talk about today was Latinas Empowerment Professional. About last year, 2022, March 1st, we invited 3 representatives, Dr. Mariluz Garcia, Cynthia Esparza, and Melissa Igareda. They gave a presentation about their experience in their careers, how to basically present how to be successful in life and give networking skills and professional skills. It was definitely really helpful, and I wish everyone can enjoy it.
In collaboration with the Equal Opportunity and Title IX office, along with UndocuPack on campus, we recently hosted a Wings of Color paint night where we presented students with a variety of on-campus and community resources. LSAB recognizes that undocumented and DACA students face additional financial, cultural, and political barriers to reaching higher education. As such, we work and advocate on behalf of these students to minimize some of these barriers and provide a safe space for these students to bring attention to specific university and community concerns.
All right, Dia de los Muertos is basically an event where we honor the dead, where we won't forgive the people that have passed away. It basically started in Mexico. the Dia de los Muertos, it starts on November 1st and it ends in November 2nd. And basically, we did an altar for the Uvalde Elementary School, where in Texas, the student shooting that happened. And we also wanted in campus, I'm sure you see not just one altar, but you also see multiple. And basically that was to expand our organization, our awareness of Dia de los Muertos, and we asked other organizations to make their altar. And it was wonderful. It was a great experience.
Okay, so now we're going to be transitioning our presentation into talking about our experiences at the Usually Conference. Pictured here, you'll see our LSAP members who attended the trip, along with our wonderful advisor, Dr. Carla Hernandez. And yes.
Our speakers was Gadi H. Vasquez, a former U.S. ambassador for the Department of State, U.S. Department of State. Another one was Lalo Zavala, and luego Roberto Santos. And another was Antonia Novello. And basically, as I was sitting there listening to their, speech, and it basically, gave me motivation to keep going forward. About October 16, 2021, my mother passed away. She passed away of COVID. And this presentation gave me more motivation, definitely gave me was something my mom would say. Like in Spanish, I would translate English. She would say in Spanish, Denis, pon atención lo que te voy a decir. Ponte las pilas para que el día de mañana estés más mejor que ayer. And the experiences for me, for this presentation, it gave me a lot of motivation. It reminded me of my mom. And I want to thank you all for granting me this experience, because as a Latino, as a teacher, I want to help younger generations. So I thank you again.
LSEB also had the great honor of hearing from dozens of influential Latino leaders throughout the country. We heard from many first-gen professionals who have been in our positions before and have had to navigate their careers as first-generation professionals. And they provided us with a lot of professional development, communication, networking, and team leadership skills, which are vital skills in any professional field. We also heard from an amazing DEI panel that discussed the importance and benefits of having a diverse student body as well as a workplace. One of the most influential panelists for me in this panel was Monica Diaz, who spoke of her early career and the challenges that she had to overcome as being the only Latina in her department. She endured a lot of challenges with her accent, and at one point her supervisor suggested to her that she should take a accent reduction class to increase her chances of being promoted, which is unfortunate. She ultimately refused, but it was through these experiences that really stuck out to me that Ms. Diaz found strength in her cultural identity, and that she did not allow those existing conditions and cultural norms to take away from her identity. And instead, those things that were seen as disadvantages or out of the status quo, she uses her strengths. Lastly, we also heard, some LSAP members heard from the Somos Comunidad, which highlighted various evidence-based strategies on self-care, stress management. And from this workshop, we really took away the importance of community. So whether that be the Latino student body at UNR or minority communities, how we can all empower and uplift ourselves.
This is another picture we took Gandhi H. Vasquez, the ambassador, and it was definitely memorable.
And then here we are pictured with our executive board and again, our advisor, la doctora Carla Hernandez and el doctor Juan Andrade Jr., which is the current USHLI president of the organization. And he really was influential to me. He is one of only a handful of Mexican Americans who have been recognized by the American and Mexican government. So it was an honor truly to be able to hear him and take a picture with him as well.
All right, the growing Latino community in Nevada. Nevada is the third most ethnically diverse state in the U.S. 1/3 of the state population identifies Latino/Hispanic. More than 40% Hispanic and Latinos from K to 12 are the population of Latinos. And as like I said, I am a teacher. I'm in Nevada Teach program, and currently I've taught in Sparks High School O'Brien, and I've taught at Shaw Middle School. And so far from what I've seen, about 25 to 50% are Latinos/Hispanic. And I promise you that it will keep growing. The 23 to 24% UNR population, and like I recently just said, it will continue growing. And because just the more students there are of Hispanics, the more the UNR will hopefully receive.
And as emerging minority leaders, we feel that it is important that all community members have the same access and equal opportunity to local government. To do this, we believe it is important that the city prioritizes inclusive community outreach, which can include establishing meaningful partnerships with community leaders of marginalized communities. It also could include creating new modes of outreach and offering alternative event hours for those with busy work schedules or do not have childcare. Increasing language accessibility in the city's press releases, application forms, and guides for non-English speaking community members. I think oftentimes it is not the case that community members don't necessarily want to get involved in local government. It's often the case that they don't have the means. Like I mentioned, their busy work schedules, or they don't have childcare, and a host of other barriers. So I think increasing the number of inclusive community outreach efforts will help ensure more community members have the ability to voice their concerns to their elected officials, and in turn help create a more equitable policymaking process. And that's the end of our presentation. Are there any questions?
Questions?
Jarrell Green for the record. Sorry, this will be long-winded. First and foremost, I want to thank Dr. Hernandez and Dr. Sanchez for being here. Dr. Sanchez, sorry, I'm going to pull this closer. Dr. Sanchez, thank you so much for presenting this to us at a previous meeting, because I think it's such a meaningful experience, and we can't thank these two amazing students enough for attending tonight. Phenomenal job, both of you, in terms of presenting. I have zero doubt you'll be an amazing lawyer, and zero doubt, Dennis, that you'll be a phenomenal teacher. A few things of note. Dennis, you referenced our growing numbers of Hispanic students at the university and how we're working towards HSI designation. I want you to realize you're going to be a large part of that by going out and being one of our local educators. Representation is key, and so good for you for going out and teaching at Sparks or Shaw, O'Brien, and any other school that you'll be able to go into. Next, Dennis, I would talk to Angelica about this, but she's a senior. Are you in Trio or McNair?
Yes, I'm in first generation, and I will apply to be in Trio.
Let's talk. So that's next for you, Dennis. And then Angelica, I loved as well that you brought up the fact of Miss Diaz inspiring you not to hold back on using your accent. And I appreciated both of you from the very start of your presentation for embracing your accents and being uniquely and genuinely you. Be unapologetic about who you are. You're both amazing young leaders. So thank you so much for the amazing presentation.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Roberto Castillo for the record. Thanks so much for everybody that presented tonight. I kind of look at both of you and remind myself 1984, September 24th, moved up here from Panama. And the amount of people that were actually in the ESL program back in 1984 in this at Greenberry Elementary here in Sparks, Mrs. Pena and Mrs. White were the two educators there. And I would tell you this, it's grown so much. And I would say a couple things. Keep trying to figure out how to go back to those rooms that you went to in Chicago. It's hugely important to both your own personal growth, but the community that you help inspire as you bring back the information, the experiences, and really the access to the bigger thinkers, which you guys are part of that collective when you're in that room. And then I would tell you this, the complexity that I see happening, and we just had the fair housing representative that just came up. I personally do stuff that has to do with housing, with the real estate market, and I know that there's a huge impasse right now that you guys are gonna have to face in your generation, probably more so than in mine. I'm fairly old at this point. There's a lot of heavy-duty regulation behind producing literature in Spanish, and really in any language. And the regulation right now nationwide is if you have a single document, every single document that a company puts out has to be in that language, or else you can't really pick and choose. And I don't know if that's at some point gonna be a digital transformation or something for the future for, for you two young individuals. You want to get into law, and obviously you're an educator. But I would definitely tell you that it's going to be an undertaking that'll be complicated in nature because it has to do with logistics and money. It always comes back to money. In my opinion, that's kind of the crazy part about just what you guys are doing. But definitely, I applaud you guys in going to Chicago. I would tell you, tell your co-parts, tell your other, students that are in your class, that you're graduating with, the young people in the classes that you teach, to strive for as high a goal as possible. This country is amazing in regards to what it can provide to your family, to your friends, your neighbors. And the only thing that'll limit you is truly what you guys aim in accomplishing. I know Dr. Sanchez, Dr. Hernandez, thank you so much again for what you've done. And my own personal family, we have a big family, and I try to teach the kids that, you really got to go after it pretty heavily because there's a lot of obstacles and complexity in what we do every single day. And the more you go after it, the more you're going to end up, getting back.
Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to speak.
Sorry, Elvira,
Oh,
if
go
you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
Rose
Go ahead.
Meza, for the record. Pues, primero, es un gran orgullo que estén aquí, la verdad. You guys are amazing for going out to that convention, for one, and then two, discussing that it is, in fact, that the Latino population is growing, right? And we need that representation. We need our Latinos to be lawyers. We need our Latinos to be teachers, doctors. And so the fact that you guys are going forth and, meeting the people that have tackled those tough subjects like not being able to embrace your accent and so on is really important because it's still there. It's still here today. I mean, I've come across situations where, people are like, well, you fix your accent a bit, and it's like, no, this is who I am. I was born in Mexico. This is who I am as a person, and it's who we are, right? And in the U.S., it's full of opportunity, and it's growing because of us, the Latinos, right? And more people, right? But within the Latino community, we must be able to embrace ourselves and be able to go forth and continue, seguir adelante para nuestros papás, para nuestros amigos y familias, right? So you guys are doing amazing. Congratulations, and thank you guys for coming. Thank you so much.
Gracias.
Thank you, Rosa Mesa. I'm going to speak. Anybody? You want to speak? Okay. You want to speak? Okay. Muchas gracias, muchachos. Los veo como si fueran mis propios hijos. I'm going to tell you, many years ago, my daughter went to Chicago. She was from UNR. She went with Maritza Perez. My daughter is Shirley Diaz. Both went to Chicago. Both become lawyers. Both are in Washington, D.C. And both of them were the presidents of the lawyers in Washington, D.C. So what I'm going to tell you, that you guys are going to go places that you don't know. I have a big accent. I just broke my arm. I lost one teeth. Doesn't matter. I'm here. I'm here fighting because I believe, and you guys just make my day. I don't know. You guys think that these young people make our days today? Absolutely. Because you guys are an example. The barriers that you need to, overcome. Like, for example, in my house, I know, like, my son goes to Sparks High School. So I don't know, you was his teacher, Christian Arroyo. But he wakes up 6 o'clock in the morning until 9 p.m. He's always busy. And I leave him alone. I'm not Latino supporting education, but no the parents, especially when you're first generation. Sometimes you say, hey, ve a la tienda, compra las tortillas, and you need to have a test. So the things that you have, just remember right now. Remember this experience, because my two young PhD ladies in the back, Dr. Sanchez, Dr. Hernandez, I know them, like, Dr. Hernandez, I think she knows my daughter, so she knows, she's familiar. And Dr. Sanchez, she's having the place, the Elma Sepulveda. That's Elma Sepulveda is the lady who took my daughter. And she's going places that I think I'm never going to be, never. But actually this group start with my daughter on Zoom with Paul Anderson in the back, that we in the pandemic start doing something about this. So I'm going to ask you a favor, please. I don't want this to be the last time you come. I want you to get back to us on how you're doing. For example, Angelica? Angelica, if you want to become a lawyer, you need to talk to me and I connect you with my daughter. She's amazing, she pushes you, she can give you everything you need. And Professor, ¿usted es el profesor? Okay. Okay. I want you to empower some of your students and the testimony that you talk about your mom really moves me, because your mom is very happy today. Thank you so much.
Gracias. One more thing. So when my mom told me, and I'm gonna translate it in English. So she said, "Dennis, pay attention. Put on your batteries." And it's like saying, put on your hat on. In my case, put on your tux for teaching, so that the next day it will be better off than yesterday.
Yes.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Roberto Castillo for the record. Hey, I just want to say one real quick thing. As you guys develop these groups, associations, don't lose focus of how actually you put the thing together. The groups, the meetings, the places, how much it costs, even the time that you need it every week to meet. As you meet young Asians, young Filipinos, young African American, older communities, each minority, and one of the reasons why this board was formed was to assist in having an equitable position in the community. You guys do a lot of work, and you guys have had the opportunity of a lot of crazy Latinos in this community in Sparks for many, many years before you. Just use the stuff that you guys have at your disposal, because we're one of the largest groups in the community, being Latino. But write all that stuff down. Put it in a way that you guys can actually share it. And when you guys see struggling groups that need footing to kind of get up and started, as the minority groups keep growing in age, creed, sexual orientation, whatever it is, help them. Help them understand how to congeal that together in order to, help the community. It's a great place that we live, and unfortunately, it's a lot of work because it takes a lot of effort, but you guys could do a lot, and we definitely applaud what you guys are doing, and we'll continue to do in the future.
Gracias. Thank you.
Oh, but thank you so much. It's so much things that we want to tell you, but thank you for also the teachers and the supporters here. Thank you, because you have the vision of them, and you give them the chance to be talking in public. Talking is the most fear thing that human beings has. So you're great about that already, so thank you. So.
Thank you.
Dennis. Yes. Reach out to me about you.
Okay, we're so excited that we're going to go to our next presentation. This presentation, oh my goodness, this is amazing. It's from our own city of Sparks. We have inclusion and we are hiring. So whoever is watching in Facebook Live, if you're interested to work in City of Sparks, we're going to have a nice presentation. Go for it.
All right, good evening, board members. My name is Ariana Huichapa, and I'm a Human Resources Analyst Senior here at the City of Sparks. We've been discussing DEI a lot in human resources. I've been with the city almost 4 years, and a lot of the work we've done is still continuing. So today we're just going to give a brief overview of things we've done, how we look at DEI from a human resources lens, and a little bit about our hiring process. So the agenda today, what does DEI mean? If you've heard of B, belonging, we'll talk a little bit about how that is new to the fold, a little bit about government policy, the effect on applicant pools and recruiting, and the business case for DEI. So again, I mentioned with Human Resources, one of the bigger organizations that we use is SHRM, the Society for Human Resources Management. So for the scope of this presentation, we'll be using their definitions of DEI. So the D initial, or part of the acronym, is not something you guys and gals and everyone on the board is probably new to, but really when we talk about diversity, we're talking about the differences in a group, right? So what makes you and I different from one another? I'm sure you all have seen this graphic, and it talks about the difference between equality and equity. And when we look at equity in hiring and in a workplace, we're looking at the intent and the resources. So we're not talking about giving everyone the same piece of the pie. We're talking about making sure that people have what they need to be successful in their roles. Inclusion, again, we talk about intention. So here you're seeing, different groups coming together. Intentional behaviors end up being what inclusion are all about. So you've probably heard of the famous, what's the word I'm looking for? Example, inclusion is, or you can come to the party, but inclusion is when you're invited to dance. And if you take the whole acronym DEI, you should have a result of belonging. So diversity plus equity plus inclusion should result in belonging. And the reason I say that belonging is new to the fold is because not every organization has really discovered this or is implementing this the way that they should. But really, when we talk about belonging, it's the overall result. If you have a good diversity, equity, inclusion initiative, program, whatever it might be, you will have belonging. And belonging is when people have a safe space, when they're excited, happy, when they're not worried about being in a particular environment. Now, there is government policy that dictates what we do in hiring. The most recent is Executive Order 13985 from President Biden's administration. And it's basically saying that as a nation, we need to tap into the full diversity potential that we have. While it is an obligation, we don't really care in human resources that it's an obligation because it's the right thing to do. So aside from this executive order, we also have other laws and other case laws that we are influenced by, Title VII, Section 1981. There's a lot of other things that go into the practicing of ensuring that we have a good, solid workforce. What does that mean for the applicant pool? Without appropriate DEIB initiatives, we are missing out on enormous potential. If we look at just the the International Association of Fire Chiefs, they anticipate that without DEI, we're only tapping into about 35% of potential. That leaves out a huge chunk of potential in one of probably our most needed jobs here at the city, across the nation, probably across the country. The example of the fire department or the fire career alone, it means we're leaving out a lot of people. In recruiting, these statistics are taken from CNBC. Why is diversity, equity, and inclusion important to us? Because 80% of workers say that they don't want to work for a company that does not have or that does not value DEI. In addition, the number of applicants that asked for or about diversity increased by 50% from 2020 to about half of job seekers. 44% of the recruiters that were surveyed said candidates have turned down jobs because of a company's lack of diversity. And I can tell you, I've personally experienced this. So this is one of the main reasons that I push DEI initiatives, because I don't want to lose out on potential on candidates who bring something to the table, especially to my own community. Workers who are satisfied with their company's efforts on DEI issues, they're happier in their jobs. It kind of goes without saying, right? If you feel safe, if you feel happy, you're going to do a good job. I don't think we need to make a business case for DEI, but we do. And so based on some statistics from Forbes, if you have positive DEI, you drive better results. You're faster with innovation. You're more competitive against your competitors in your industry. You're able to reach and relate to a bigger audience. I just gave the example of the fire career. That's a very small audience if you think about it. 35% is not even halfway full. You improve employee retention and morale. Employees feel safe, respected, and connected, and they want to be here. And then you have shared community. You have shared values, shared missions. This is the business case for DEI. Private entities can measure success by numbers. We have to measure by performance. And if we're seeing that employees are not performing, we have to ask why. Now, what's the business case for belonging? Again, back to SHRM, the Society for Human Resources Management. They surveyed some folks, and about 25% reported that they don't trust their manager to treat them fairly. 26% did not feel emotionally safe at work. 27% said their workplace does not clearly provide opportunities for employees to openly discuss issues without fear of penalty, punishment, or retaliation. And 27% might seem like a small number, but 27% of people feeling afraid is too big. It's not anything that we want in our workforce. Another 27% did not think their manager encouraged a culture of open and transparent communication. And we know transparency is key. In government, we need to be transparent about everything that we do. So again, we want people to be safe. We want people to be happy. And this all happens through DEI initiatives. In recruiting and hiring in the workforce, we take these things seriously. We look at all of the barriers that could be attributing to keeping people out. We are working with every department to review every single job description to make sure that we're really considering job factors. We're eliminating as many barriers as we can. And we really are pushing DEI across the city in every way, shape, and form that we can. Any questions?
Jarrell Green for the record. Ariana, thank you so much for the presentation. I love your passion for this, and I could tell this is something that you genuinely want to see happen. A few questions came to mind, because I firmly believe for all of us, we aspire to be what we see. So I think one of the primary barriers when it comes to increasing diversity within governmental positions within the city is a lot of individuals have never seen anyone working for the city or in government that look like them. Therefore, I don't know what's been explored. I'm going to ask you quite a few questions. I don't know what types of initiatives or ideas have been thrown around to address that. Also, if we're being honest as well, for a lot of these populations, they don't even feel like they have a voice. Therefore, if I don't even have a voice within government, how in the world can I possibly work for the government? So are there specific ideas being floated around on how we address some of these very realistic, because I think these are systemic and generational barriers, right? These are ideologies that have been handed down that I think preclude a lot of individuals from pursuing these careers because they automatically assume, oh, that's not for me. Therefore, are there initiatives to show people, no, you can look different and we will display individuals who represent you. Obviously, we're struggling with that, so we don't have many of them. And as somebody like at the university who's often like puppeted out as a Black person, I understand as well that like oftentimes your diverse group does not want to always be puppeted around for a lack of incentive or things like that. So I know this is a very convoluted and complicated problem, but I'm curious as to what brainstorming has been taking place to address some of these very real issues.
Sure. So I think I have to give a lot of credit to our police department because they have been in the forefront. They've really been doing the work. And we are using a lot of their initiatives as ideas for other departments to start doing the same kind of thing. So we're looking at getting into more schools. We're looking at getting into more community events. Last year, we had 2 community events. We hadn't had any such thing ever at the city of Sparks. So we really are looking to get more involved and get the word out, whether it's at a recruiting event or a community event, school event, any public forum we can get behind, we're trying to. I will say that I know exactly what you're talking about, you know, the token representative for your group. I'm the only Latina in human resources. So I totally know that, but I'm passionate about the work because I've been doing it prior to here. I did it a little bit of it at the school district. So this is definitely an area that we can continue to grow in, and we're always open to ideas and suggestions as well.
Kia Sanders for the record. I'm gonna piggyback off of what Jarrell just said. And since he used the university as an example, I'm just gonna keep going. So I know that some of the things that they do to cut down on these type of issues is some jobs are threaded for minority placement. And there is a huge checks and balances system that HR does, how many websites that are friendly to, I don't like using the word minority, underrepresented communities. How many websites, right? Like how many websites did you post this job posting on? What does your pool look like? How diverse is your pool? In those candidates that may all look similar on paper, how many are you given interview opportunities, and that's just one way to break down. I'm curious to hear what the city of Sparks is doing in something like that. Like, where are you posting these jobs at? Are you utilizing veteranshire.com or Latinos for Education or whatever, right? Like something like that.
Yeah, we definitely do use a lot of those websites, so I'm glad you bring that up. Every single job since I've started working here has been posted on those additional websites that target, particular groups, just to get the word out. We also do a lot of, we post for every college that we can, so we do Handshake, which, it just gets to every college that you pick. But that's the main way that we advertise jobs. When we have additional funds to spend, we'll try to, do some sort of campaign. We recently had a billboard that went up for the police department and the fire department, and that wasn't particular to one group, but it was, local. So we'll look at different opportunities where we can, but we also have to be careful with how we spend taxpayer money. So we do post at all of the sites that we can. And like I said, every job that has gone up since I've been here has gone on those websites. And I will say that we look at demographics all the time. So we are tracking what our community looks like, where we're failing our community, where we need more representation and things like that.
Jarrell Green for the record. To piggyback off of what Kia was just talking about, as you said, it is great to hear that you did 2 community events this year, and that's something that had never been done. Are you open to coming to the university? I happen to work with our first generation college students at the university with a program called TRIO, and then we also house the First in the Pack program. So potentially there's 600 plus underrepresented students that you could be speaking with, graduating from various majors who are very passionate about seeing real change, and I think working for the city would allow them that type of opportunity. And we often host people, like we just had the State Department come in and speak about job opportunities with our students. So if you're open to that, we would love to have you.
Yeah, definitely. We're trying to get in everywhere we can. So wherever you have space, just let us know.
We will bring you in.
Any other comment? I'm going to say something really positive that I know about Sirius Parks. Sirius Parks is very good for the transgender community. The Sirius Park is ahead of the game to provide in healthcare. Now, in the legislation, this session, they're going to try the all insurance cover transgender cares. So it's very important that when you go to your own city and you see somebody who looks like you, and then the city is supporting. So to me, it's very interesting. I'm very happy to hear. I learned a new word for you, belonging. And like, it's good to use the words and it's good to spread the word. And thank you for being yourself. Don't feel like you're the token. You are the person who's going to make the change in Cedar Sparks. Thank you. Okay, that was amazing. Thank you so much. So we're going to go to general business items for possible action.
Madam Chair, we don't have any general business items on this agenda.
We don't have any, so we're going to continue with comments from the committee. Comments for this group? Comments? Any comments? Okay, we have no comments. Now we're going to go to 8.1, request for new future agenda items. Go ahead.
T-Tran for the record. So RFP went out, and so those are due, I'm so sorry, remind me.
Towards the end of this month.
Okay,
The exact date is escaping me at the moment.
okay. So you guys will review first, or will we get to see who bid on the RFP?
Yes, so staff will review those proposals in the month of April. I'm going to get a little bit ahead of myself, but we will not be having a meeting in April. I will be out of town on our regular meeting date. But I anticipate bringing a recommendation forward to this committee on that request for proposals at our May 9th meeting.
Thank you. Any other? We'll talk about for future agenda. I know this is too late this March, but Cesar Chavez Day maybe could not be this year. It's too late, but it's good to have it. Like, a little community events where I think the people who present today can be, that belong from us, little community fair from us. So that's my my future agenda item.
Thank you.
Michael Scherzer for the record. If we can't do Cesar Chavez Day, maybe during Christmas, like when the holiday things, we can have maybe a booth and have like a present or something. Would that be something we could bring up and?
Certainly at a future meeting, if not on the May 9th
Right,
meeting,
yeah, I
we'll
mean,
have a,
future, thinking more like December.
yes, we'll have a community calendar discussion.
Great.
Kia Sanders for the record. Well, since we're talking about agenda items, Juneteenth is June 19th. It's at Idlewild, so if that's something we can discuss on the City of Sparks participating in.
Thank you.
Alvaro Diaz for the record. I noticed City Sparks went to a few events. I went to one event, very elegant event, and I saw the police also. So I was so happy. I physically see it. So I see the kids so happy that you guys having that table event. So this is what brings when they see their faces and we connect. That's important. And then I don't know if we're going to go to next. Nobody has any. Okay, so I'm going to go to next committee members' announcements. Any announcements? No announcements? No? Okay, so no announcements. I'm going to just say it's going to be Cesar Chavez Day, March 31st. So at least we acknowledge that we have that day and hopefully next year we do something about it. Okay, and then we're going to go staff announcements.
Just that our next meeting will be May 9th at 5:30 p.m., same time, same place.
And I see members of the public, if any, Paul Anderson, some public comment?
I may, and I'll come with another car.
Yeah, so we have Paul Anderson with a public comment.
Rule breaker.
Good evening, Paul Anderson for the record. And I just want to start out, Madam Chair, thank you for the opportunity to speak. And I just want to personally say thank you to each and every one of you board members for the work that you're doing. I don't know if at times it feels like it, but you are making a difference within the city. And I do want to take a moment to thank our Assistant City Manager, Ms. McCormick. She envisioned this and helped us put it together, and I just want to say thank you, Allison. You've done a great job, and everything I imagined, this board is that and so much more. And I just want to thank you guys. As a side note, one of the presentations, one of the things we talked about was reaching out to our future leaders. It was neat. Some of us from City Council were able to go to Sparks High today and speak to one of their classes. And what was so cool is we went around the class to hear each and every one of their dreams and where they want to go. And what was so cool is we were able to go, guess what? Go after that dream. You can come to work for us here in Sparks because you too are a part of this community. It didn't matter if it was attorneys. We definitely need attorneys here, to engineers and everything in between. And I just want to say that it's exciting, and please continue to make a difference in the community, and we'll do the best we can on our side as well. But thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Any other public comment? No, that's done. Okay, so we're going to do adjourn. No,
Yes.
yes, I'm going to do my favorite thing, adjourn.